Now it's time to hear from our finalists. As each one is introduced, they will come to the podium and present their elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is a summary of the idea that is compelling enough to gain interest of a potential investor or customer, yet short enough to take place while riding in an elevator with them.
Hi, people. My name is Jasmine Green. I'm from Ipswich Public, and my business is Green Decor. Do you have scraps of steel lying around your house, nuts, bolts, horseshoes? Well, my business, Green Decor, we make artwork out of these products, from pumpkins, stars, snowflakes, crosses, heck, even your name out of horseshoes. Isn't that just neat? Most of the products are our idea, but we take any ideas that you guys have. So come check us out. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Madison, and this is Miranda.
We are the co-founders of Open Cage.
Open Cage is a pet store for many different animals, including dogs, cats, bunnies, chicks, hedgehogs, and even teacup pigs.
Every animal has a separate room rather than cages so that they are comfortable inside of our store.
If someone is interested in adopting one of our animals, they have the opportunity to learn more about the animal's personality by spending time with them inside of their rooms.
We believe that a happy pet is the best pet.
If you have any more questions, please call us at 605-555-OPEN.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Grace Bakken from Ipswich High School. I have Bakken's Bakery. Have you ever felt the need for a sweet treat, or you forgot to make a dessert for an event or party later that afternoon? Bakken's Bakery has a simple solution. We bake anything from brownies to tiramisu, and we're focused on speed and precision. So come on down and check out Bakken's Bakery.
All right, my name is Franklin Wustwald. My business is Ace's Tattoo Shop. Many different tattoo shops don't have very much entertainment, so my business has games that you can play while you're getting a tattoo. And for all you munchers out there that like to eat a little bit, you can come get a snack while at a snack bar. And the little motto for my business is, you think it, we ink it.
Hi, I'm Monique.
I'm Kylie Mogan from Wilmot.
And I'm Monica from Wilmot. Our business is Once Upon a Memory, and your party, our plan, preserving dreams and creating memories.
We are willing to come to you so you don't have to take time out of your busy schedule to plan your next party. We do everything for you so it'll save you time and stress you have planning your party.
We have a menu that you can order food off of if you don't want us to reserve a caterer, and our goal is to make your life easy and stress-free.
Are you a busy professional or someone who doesn't have the time or the energy to bake? Well, my company, Claire Sweet Treats, is the thing for you. A made-to-order bakery operating in the Millbank area. I can make anything you want. Find me a recipe or just order off my menu. Anything is possible.
The idea for my business is a traditional laser tag, but with a few twists. My business would have a physical location where people would, of course, play laser tag. You could also buy a membership. And the thing that makes my business unique is that you can customize your laser gun. You can add decals, change the color, add lights, or even add a grip if you feel like it. You could also rent it out for birthday parties and other such events.
I'm Christian Westhoff.
I'm Hunter Matei.
Hi, I'm Mercedes Peterson, and we are here with MCH Design at McCook Central. We are a sporting good company that have products of keychains and spirit bands to show school pride. Our products are spirit bands and keychains. They are inexpensive, customizable, fun, and appropriate for all ages. Our products come in 3 different colors and many sizes. If you have any questions about our awesome opportunity, please contact an MCH Design representative today.
The third place winner of the 2016 Big Idea competition will receive a $250 cash prize. And the third place winner is Green Decor. The second place winner of the 2016 Big Idea competition will receive a $500 cash prize, a $500 Northern State University scholarship, and a $500 presentation college scholarship. And the second place winner is Claire's Sweet Treats. And to the winner. The winner will receive a $1,000 cash prize, a $1,000 NSU scholarship, and a $1,000 presentation college scholarship. And the winner of the 2016 Big Idea competition is MCH Design. And the winner of the 2016 Big Idea Wellness Award is Conquer My Concussion, the entry of Jake Sandvig and Noah Steenlick of Millbank High School.
All right, I'm Jake Sandvig.
And now I'm Noah Steinlich.
Our app is Conquer My Concussion. This football season, I got a pretty severe concussion. Took about 3 weeks to recover from it. Our app will provide the impact test, the most scientifically approved concussion test, and you can get your results from that immediately.
During the recovery, it will help you get back to your normal health and be able to get back to your sports faster.
All right. Thank you.
Great job, guys. Congratulations. Thank you. The winner of the 2016 Big Idea Marketing Design is Party Bling, the entry of Gamelia Becker, Connor Torrance, and Megan Odegaard of Aberdeen Central High School. Please come forward.
Hi, I'm Megan Odegaard.
I'm Gamelia Becker.
I'm Connor Torrance.
Our big idea was Party Bling. Party Bling is party planning at your fingertips. We supply your characters of your choice, entertainment, and party setup and takedown. Thank you.
Great job, guys.
All right, so I'm up from Fargo this morning. I was just in Minneapolis yesterday, so I'm not tired yet, but by the time I get home, I'll probably be pretty tired. So real quick before I get started, I want to kind of get to know some of the students here. So you guys, there's I think something like 6 finalists, is that correct? 8 finalists? Okay. So of those finalists, who's pretty like excited and thinking maybe they're probably going to do this thing, like start this company at least some point in their life, if not, you know, maybe during high school, after high school? Who kind of raise your hand if you're pretty excited about possibly trying to do that? That's like it's either up or down. There you go. All right. That's good. All right. So it's a good few of you are pretty interested in doing that. So that's fun to hear. So hopefully my story will be helpful for you. Also, it hopefully won't be discouraging because it's really hard to do these things, but I think in the end it's worth it. So I encourage all of you to consider trying to make these things happen. And your first idea will probably fail, just so you know. So the second idea will probably be your better idea, or maybe even the third, but that doesn't mean you should give up, right? So this might not be your best idea you've ever had, but it might be something into the future if you keep working hard. So real quick, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Myriad. So Myriad Mobile, we're a software company based out of Fargo, North Dakota, with an office in Sioux Falls and in Minneapolis area. And we've got a team that basically designs, builds, and deploys mobile apps for businesses. So we basically create custom apps from scratch for everything from Midco here in South Dakota to interesting companies like Bobcat and John Deere. So we've got all kinds of different things that we do. I'll share a little bit about that with you later, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and how I kind of got to this point. So I grew up in Rolla, North Dakota. Does anybody know where Rolla, North Dakota is at? There's a few people in here. All the old people do. Sorry, guys. So it's about 10 minutes from the Canadian border, and came to Fargo for North Dakota State University. Go Bison! I think we got a serious game coming up this weekend, so it's going to be that'll be fun. So I went to NDSU. I thought I should go to college because everybody said you should go to college. I didn't really sort of have any of my own views on why I should do that. And when I was deciding to go, what happened was, in my mind, I said, well, I think I'm pretty good with computers. I was the guy who would help my friends burn CDs, which none of you do anymore. And then, you know, at the time, we used a program called LimeWire and downloaded music illegally. You should not do that, but we didn't know that that was a big deal until later on. So we were doing this all the time, and that was kind of like one of the reasons why I was thinking maybe I should be in computers. I'm kind of good at this stuff. You know, some of my friends can't figure it out, but I can. So I said, well, I'll do something with computers. So I looked at this book, and everybody's seen one of these books before that says, here's all the degrees you can get, and here's all the salaries you're supposed to get when you're done getting those degrees, right? You've seen those books before. Especially juniors and seniors who probably have those at home right now. So I'm looking at this thing, and I'm looking at what's at NDSU, and there's two computer degrees that are offered, computer science and computer engineering. And I had no idea what the difference was and didn't bother to look, and I looked at the salary, and computer engineering had a higher salary, so I picked that one. So that's how I picked my degree. So I had that much thinking into going to college, showed up at Fargo for North Dakota State University. So about a year and a half in, I was doing not the best. I realized that it was a little bit difficult. Computer engineering especially, it was kind of hard. I thought I was good. I was getting like 3.540 in high school, and basically I found out computer engineering and math at the college level was a lot more difficult than what I was doing back in Rolla. So I also learned that a 2.7 GPA is going to make it difficult for a lot of things. And so I'm going through school and I'm struggling, and my GPA is landing in around that 3.5, then it's like 3.2, 2.9. As soon as I hit 2.9, I was starting to apply for internships at NDSU. And when you're thinking about internships, they always kind of say, you know, build your resume, you know, put your GPA on your resume. I thought that was like a requirement. I thought that was like something you have to do, right? You have to put your GPA on the resume. Well, I did that, applied at a few places. Two of them, one of them was John Deere and one of them was Microsoft in Fargo. And John Deere denied my actual resume because apparently you shouldn't put your GPA on there, but if you do at John Deere, they have a requirement where if you don't have a GPA of above 3.0, you can't even get an interview. Mine was 2.9. I'm like, that's pretty close. So I called them and I said, hey, you sure I can't have an interview? It's really close to 3.0. Flat out told me no, never had an interview at John Deere, okay? So that was a bad start. My next deal was I applied at Microsoft, and I got smart this time. And so before I sent the resume, I just deleted the GPA off my resume. And I didn't want to tell anybody. And I applied at Microsoft, got the interview, went to the second round interview. Then they flew me to Seattle for a final round interview. They paid for it. It was really cool. I got to have $70 worth of food every day. And one night we just ate all $70 in food in one shot at a steak place in Seattle. And didn't get that job either, but it had nothing to do with my resume. It just probably I wasn't the right fit for it, right? So, did I turn this thing off? This is still good? Okay. So that's what I learned, that basically it's really hard to get a job. And the pro tip here is if you got a bad GPA, don't put it on your resume. So thinking about that, if you got terrible grades in high school, just don't tell people. It won't be a big deal. That's what I'm learning. So another thing I learned was that I could teach myself how to do things. I didn't necessarily have to learn everything for my future from what I was doing in school. When I went to NDSU in computer engineering, it wasn't as sort of software focused as I maybe should have been doing when I was kind of thinking about the kind of job I wanted to do. The reason I applied at Microsoft, I wanted to build software maybe someday. Didn't know how to do that until I was taking classes. But once I took a couple classes at NDSU, I realized that I can learn kind of some of this stuff on my own. And so I went out on YouTube. And at the time, in 2010, 2011, Android phones were just coming out. iPhone had been out for a little while, but Android phones were just coming out. And if you guys remember, some of you on Verizon, there was no iPhone until like 2011 or 2012. We couldn't get an iPhone. But when Android came out, that was the first smartphone we could have. So I immediately got an Android smartphone. I was jacked about it. And I said, man, I want to learn how to build apps for Android. So I went on YouTube, and I learned. And I built my first app. I think it was like a counting app to count how many swings you took in golf. I didn't even golf, but it was a simple app, so I did it, and sort of went from there. And that kind of was the initial start of what my company became, right? If you think about what we do today, where all we do is build mobile apps, this was the starting point. It wasn't necessarily school that I learned the skill from. I literally learned this on YouTube, and you can do the same thing with all kinds of different interesting ideas in the world today. The other thing I learned is that when your high school brother is better than you are at programming, you should probably have him help you do it. So what I found out was I was about probably 2 months into learning how to build Android apps on my own. I was building some apps that I was going to try to put on the store and sell for 99 cents. Well, I did one. It was for a video game at the time, and it was like a sort of a tip app for the video games, or how to play this game better. And I sold it for, it was free, and then it was 99 cents if you wanted to pay for the premium version. And it would take me forever to build this app, right? I was like sitting in my dorm room all the time trying to finish this thing, put it on the App Store. And then I called my brother one evening, and I said, because he's back in high school, same age as you guys, and he says, I said, you should learn how to build Android apps, because I think it's going to be like a good job someday for one of us. And so about a week or two later, he comes back, and he's better than me at building Android apps in about 2 weeks, and I've been doing it for 2 months. And I'm like, well, here, go build this app, because I need this one to put on the store so we can make some money. And basically, my brother and I, who was still in high school and I'm in college, built apps. Nathan, my brother, didn't even have the ability to test the apps because he didn't have a smartphone. So he would build them at the house back in Rolla, and then he would email me the code, and then I would test it on my phone to see if it would work. Then I would email him back and tell him all the problems, and then he would fix them and send it back. So we had some really terrible, inefficient process of doing this. But we built like 4 or 5 different apps. And over the course of like 3 months, we made $500, which is a lot of money when you're in college, and even more money when you're in high school, basically selling these apps for 99 cents. And we thought, wow, this could be really cool. But we started thinking about, you know, if you want to build any realistic business, an initial goal might be, how do you build a business to $100,000 and then maybe $1 million someday? If your business can get there, it's a good start. I'm like, we have to sell a whole lot of these apps to get anywhere near $1 million. Like, think about how many of these versions. I mean, Google takes 30% of your money when you sell something on the App Store. So for 99 cents, I'm only getting 60-some cents on the dollar, and I got to sell, you know, a bajillion of these apps to get to $1 million. So my math skills are bad. I'm not even going to try to tell you what that is. But so we kind of said, well, maybe there's a better way to do this. And kind of over time, we realized that there's this idea of maybe having a business pay you to build something for them. And so instead of making it and then hoping you make money, maybe there's businesses out there that need apps built, and they'll pay for those to get done. And that was the skills that we had. So that was the start of our company. So simple as that. High school brothers, the smarter than me, and then myself, and we built a company. About 5 years ago from today, so in about 2011, this is my partner, Ryan. He's not my brother, but he might kind of look like my brother. Him and I actually started this business together. And that's our big space shuttle in the background. That was at our old office. And we said, let's build mobile apps for businesses. And that was the genesis of this company. So we got started. We got our first few contracts. Our very first app we ever built cost $500. Well, we charged $500. We don't know what it cost us to build. We just put a whole bunch of hours into it and got it done for $500. And then we didn't have any money left after we were done to pay ourselves, so we didn't make any money on that one. And then we sold the next app for $2,000, and then $3,000, and then $5,000, and $10,000. Those are sort of the steps we took of building these apps. real quick, just so you know, today we sell apps for anywhere between $100,000 and $250,000 generally is the range of the projects we're doing, right? So think about us college kids and high school kids building apps for $500 and coming all the way 5 years later, and it's like 10 times, 100 times that kind of operations that we're doing. So we thought, man, we should grow this company. That was our goal. How do we grow? And so you guys have been learning a little bit about entrepreneurship, and you've been learning about what it takes to build a business. This is my favorite graph of all time so far that I've found on the internet. This is the struggle of what it looks like to build a business. So when we started, we were in our dorms, and we built these apps for 99 cents, and we made $500. And we felt like we were like the king of the world. We just figured out how to build mobile apps, and we're going to make $1 billion, right? They're like, oh, this sucks. It's hard to do this. There's like literally no way we're going to sell 1 million of these apps, and it doesn't really work. And then we worked really hard for a while. And we said, well, how do we do this? And we became a real company. We followed our papers, started getting contracts with local companies, and that's when we sold our $500 app, and we're kind of in this what they call the trough of sorrow, right? You're like, oh, $500 only for this app. How much work do we got to do to make money? And this is the sort of graph that I would say every real startup goes through. It, whether you're being honest or not, this is really what's happening when you go through a startup. Everyone from a photographer to a software company to a bank, when they get started, those first few years, this is what it looks like. So today, just so you know, I believe that we are somewhere in this area as a company 5 years in. So it took a while to get across this. This hurt a lot. This was our 2014. This is 2015, 2016. That's kind of what my life looked like. But just to give you an example of what it may be a better way to understand this visual, this is my 2014, okay? I'll tell you why this looked like this. So in 2011, we sold, I think we sold $50,000 worth of projects in 2011 when we were still in school, last years of college. At the same time, my grades were going from 3.5 to 2.7. We were selling apps, so that was good, but my grades were going real bad. I did graduate, got my computer engineering degree at the end of 2012. 2012, we did $350,000 in sales, right? And we had like about 10 part-time interns, basically, from NDSU and Concordia and MSUM, all the colleges around us. We had a bunch of part-time guys working on building software. You can imagine how bad an app looks when you have a bunch of interns building it that none of us know what we're doing. So we didn't have the greatest apps at the time when we started, but we got better. And 2013 was the first time Ryan and I could go full-time outside of college, and we started hiring our interns full-time. This just gets funnier as you look at it, so just keep watching. You can laugh if you want. So 2013, we did $750,000 in sales. So we went from $50,000 to $350,000 to $750,000, and then the next year, 2014, we said, what can we do to get to like $5 million in sales in 1 year? We were like crazy, thinking we could do whatever we want. And so we went out, we got a loan from the bank and a line of credit. And 2014 started off nice like this, and we started hiring people that we didn't need. So we started hiring salespeople without really knowing how to train salespeople. By the time the year was up, we had hired and fired 15 salespeople. We hired them all, and we fired all of them by the end of the year, right? At the same time, we thought all these salespeople were going to get us a lot of sales. So we hired a bunch of engineers. So we had like 40, 50 people we had brought on the team by that point in time. And if you can do math, which I can't, I'll tell you that about midway through the year, we should have known that we were going to lose a lot of money doing this, but we couldn't figure that out. Who do I have to talk to about their phones in this place? All right. There's a mute button on that thing. All right, so January, February, March, we were like having a blast. This slide feels real good. We're kind of kicking some butt. And then about May, we hired 15 people in 1 month in May. And we were kind of like expecting all these sales to come, and we had these big opportunities, and we just started missing them. We were kind of still too small, still too new to companies to trust us to do their projects. And so we had all these people thinking they're busy, but they weren't making us any money, and these salespeople who weren't selling anything. And so at the end of the year, we had lost more money in 1 year than we had made in total revenue the last 2 years combined. We had lost over $850,000 in 1 year and used up all of our loan and all of our line of credit to the point where we almost went flat broke. I mean, I didn't know I thought we would have been broke by the time we were there. When you do go really close to broke, you don't realize how far you can go before you really are broke. And we were really close to the end of that little sort of cliff where you just fall off and it's the game over, right? And so towards the end of the year, I felt like this guy, and it hurt a lot. And we had to let, those 15 salespeople, they didn't last the whole year. They were getting hired and fired throughout the year. We were doing a bad job of that. Our engineering team went from 35 engineers down to 20 by the end of the year because we couldn't afford to keep everybody, and we had a bunch of interns that we let go. All these crazy things happen. And all that, I tell you, is to say this is what entrepreneurship is about, learning. What do you think learning stands for? Failing and learning. If you fail, you sure as heck better learn from it or it wasn't worth it, okay? If you can fail 1 billion times and not go broke and you learn something every single time, you're going to be like a bajillionaire someday, as long as you made it through all that. I truly believe that the best way to learn sometimes is to fail. There's also better ways to do things. Like if we would have listened to advisors of our company, we probably wouldn't have went almost broke in 2014. But we also learned. We failed, but we learned that we need to be watching our accounting team. We need to build a better accounting team. We need to build sales the right way, et cetera. So fast forward to 2015, 2016. 2015 was like a hangover. I know we're in high school mostly here, but that's what it basically felt like. 2016 was this year was our first year where we kind of got back on track. So we have 40 people full-time on the team today. We're making money. We have just under $4 million in sales this year, which is pretty good. We think we can go to $5 or $6 million next year, and without losing money. And so we've learned from our mistakes. And so, but that is the kind of like, I can tell you a million other stories, but that is the kind of crazy stuff that you go through when you're building a company. You don't have to be as dumb as us and lose as much money as us to learn, but that might be one way you're going to do it. And as long as you can get up when it's all done and try again, then you did something right. That's what I think. Regardless of your schooling, regardless of who you are, regardless of your skill sets, as I don't have a lot of engineering skill sets, but I lead an engineering team. That's kind of interesting, I think. I mean, if they don't ask me to code anymore, that's for certain. They actually took away all of my rights to touch any software, so I just get to go and talk to customers now. That's what I'm good at. So after all this happened, we learned something, and that was focus. So one of our learnings was coming out of that was, how do you focus? So instead of hiring randomly 15 different people to try to do sales, what if we just focused on 3 of us that are good at sales, that are already on the team? What if we just focused? And what we learned was we didn't have to add any new salespeople, and we went from 2 million to 4 million in 2 years without adding any new salespeople. So it wasn't a problem of people being needed on the team. It was really a problem of focus, what we were really trying to do. And so we started focusing on a few industries as a company. We do a lot of agriculture work today, which makes a lot of sense if you're in the Midwest. Insurance is huge. We do a lot of work with insurance companies now. We're building the apps that the agents at the insurance companies use, and also if you're a customer and you need to check your insurance card and kind of prove to the police that you actually have your car insured, that's what our apps are for. We're building those for insurance companies. We're working with all kinds of different things. We also work with startups. So let's say one of you guys in here is building an app company that's got some sort of software product you want to build. You could come to us. We can help you get some fundraising done, help you build a pitch deck, and then once you get some funding, we'll help you build your project. And we do that a lot with the companies. We've helped a couple companies raise over $100,000 to build their first projects, and now they're kind of moving on and being successful companies. So that's something else that we get to do. I lead the insurance team, and I lead the startups because I like doing startups, and I think I've learned enough at this point that I can even help other people not learn as hard as we did. We've done 350 projects in 5 years. That's pretty cool, at least 350. We can't really kind of losing count at this point. But we've got an office in Fargo, Minneapolis, and Sioux Falls. We just opened this year in Sioux Falls. One of our best customers in South Dakota is Midco. We built the Midco account app. Have you guys, anybody used Midco at home? I imagine a lot of you guys are on their service. So if you download the app for Midco, the My Account app, we built that. But also just recently an app called Midco Sports Network just launched on the App Store. And so the Sports Network app is kind of like the ESPN app from Midco, but it lets you check high school scores around the state. North Dakota, South Dakota, and I think a little bit into Minnesota, but the high school has to sign up. But once they're signed up, you can get real-time scores from basketball games and football and volleyball, whatever's going on, right on this app, which that's pretty cool. So we're pretty happy about that. So real quick about our team and kind of what it takes to build a company like this. We actually have 40 people. That, as far as I know in math, that doesn't add up to 40. Am I right? I think so. All right, so that's just because the slide's old. But this is the bulk of who gets the job done. So my brother Nathan, I told you about earlier, that started with us. He's still at the company. He's 23 years old. He finished school. Finished school at college at NDSU in computer engineering, but he got a 4.0. I got a 2.7. You can see why my mom's not as impressed with me sometimes. And he works on this team. He's somewhere in this picture, I think. Let's see. Yeah, he's somewhere in there. I can't really tell. This might be him. I don't know. All right. Why is he not in there? I think he's in there. Oh, there he is. He just has long hair. He looks like a woman, but it's actually my brother. That's what it is. All right. So Nathan's 23 years old, started this in high school. Every single person in here that's a student can start something like this right now. And he is one of the best engineers we have on the team. Not the best. There's guys that have been around for about 10 years in software that work for us now that are a little better than Nathan is, but he is incredibly talented. He's been doing it since he's 16, 17 years old. He works for our biggest customer almost every day of the week. He's got a family now. He's got a kid, and he's 23 years old, and he has a house. Like, how, I don't know. I think that's really impressive. For personally, I think he's just kicking some butt. And it's because he's smart, but it's also because he just had initiative. He just went out and got on YouTube after I recommended this to him, and he basically kicked my butt in terms of engineering and went out and did this. And so he's one of the best engineers on the team. We've got a lot of ladies on the team as well, so I think it's really cool to see a lot of women in the room on the student side. So keep working hard. I think you guys have more opportunity than us dudes in the future because we want more women entrepreneurs, and the government is paying more women entrepreneurs to do things. There's grants for you out there. There's a lot of interesting things happening, so keep working hard. I think there's a lot of opportunities for you guys, especially going forward. That'll kind of give you maybe a little bit of a competitive advantage, right? An unfair advantage, you might even call it, and you should take advantage of that. That's okay. So a little bit about what we care about at our company. These are things that you're going to think about. If you build a company someday, you want to think about what is the kind of company you want to build, what does it look like and feel like, and what do the people think? How do they think at the company? And are they very, when you build a company, you have a lot of diversity, but you also have sort of a shared sort of core values, you might call them. And I won't go through all these, but one of ours is passion. And if you work at a mobile software company like Myriad Mobile and you don't like mobile apps or mobile software, you probably won't work here because that's all we do every freaking day of the year. So passion is a huge part of our thing. So every person that you meet at Myriad someday, if you ever come to our offices, they love this stuff. They are just obsessed. If you come in and do an interview and you've never really spent a lot of time learning about apps and you don't really care about your smartphone, you won't have a job at Myriad. That's just how it is. And so that's kind of how we look at these, and that's how we hire. And so as you're thinking about the company you want to build someday, think about what are the things that make you who you are, and what are those things that make your company maybe successful. So this is our new office. Looks like a castle because it's awesome. And that is legitimately our flag. That's not photoshopped. So we moved into the third floor of this building right here. We got 40 people now. And I found that there was this flagpole on top of the building that hadn't been used in like years and years and years and years. I climbed up this sketchy ladder right here that was inside this building, and I said, wow, we should put a flag on this. And I looked at the rope. The rope was so old it literally broke when I pulled on it. And the problem is, when you string up a rope on a flagpole, you have to I'm not sure how to do this, to be honest, but I was thinking you had to climb up the pole and string it. I'm pretty sure you'd have to do that unless you had some sort of equipment. So we had to call and pay like $400 for some company to come and put a freaking string up on our flagpole. And then we bought a $400 flag, and here we are. So we've got an awesome flag on top of our building. Now it's a different color because that one got wrecked from all the smoke from the Canadian fires a year ago. It literally turned our flag brown, so we had to switch flags. But they don't last very long anyway. But they cost a whole lot less than like a $20,000 electronic sign right here, right? So we just figured we'll just put a flag on and call it good. Our internship program is pretty strong at Myriad. So if you guys are thinking about maybe I do want to get into technology and software, we do internship programs. It doesn't matter if you're in high school or college. We don't really care as long as you're smart and you're interested in doing this kind of stuff. And so this is our latest group. These two are engineers, and then these two were designers on the team. And so that's kind of what it's like to hang out at Myriad. Apparently we just put these goofy looking hats on your head and call you an intern. So the Midco app I told you about, there's a little bit about it. the West Virginia project. So anybody ever been to West Virginia? A few people in here. The next time you go to West Virginia, or if you ever go to West Virginia for the first time, we built the tourism app for the whole state. Has anybody heard of iBeacons in the room? Anybody? You guys know what Bluetooth is for your phone, right? There's these little devices you can put out that kind of tell you how close you are to the device or how close you are. Maybe you just walked in the room, it knows you're in the room now. We put over 1,000 of those throughout the state of West Virginia. And as you go to West Virginia with this app, and you walk into a museum or you walk into a place of interest in West Virginia, the app reminds you that you're there. Here's some more details about it. Here's the next thing you should go check out since you're interested in these things. All kinds of things to help you kind of navigate around in the whole state. We've been doing a lot of work in agriculture. Anybody drive like beet trucks or like grain trucks at the end of the year helping with harvest? A few people. So if you're working with co-ops or elevator companies, there's a new project that we've been working on. It's a product that we designed. So up until 2016, we've been working on building apps for businesses. So they come to us, they kind of share an idea they have, and then we work with them to build it, right? And help them kind of come up with a better idea sometimes because there's a lot of bad ideas out there. We help them out. So M-Agri is our first product, and it's in the agriculture space. So if you're a grain elevator, you buy this product from us, and all the farmers who come to your elevator, instead of having to drop their load off at the elevator and going in and getting a paper scale ticket and then putting it in their pocket and going back to the farm and doing that 1,000 times a year, this thing just delivers it right to your phone right away within about a minute of dropping off your load. So you don't have to even get out of the truck. Just drive up, hit your pin, dump your load. That's kind of funny. And then drive away. And within about a minute, you have it on your phone, and you can track the whole year, all the different drivers you might have working for your farm. So this is a product that we came up with, and we think that this product might have enough legs and with a long-term strategy to be able to be its own company. So there's a possibility that we'll take this product, take it out of Myriad, maybe have it raise its own money, and then go off and be its own thing. So that's something that we're working on. And so one of the things that we have to think about, technology is changing all the time. I mean, mobile is cool, but now mobile's not nearly as cool as it used to be 4 years ago when we started this thing. And so the question we have to always ask is, what's next and how can we be a good partner with the companies we're working with? And so that's something we're always thinking about. One of the things we get to do more recently with Bobcat is we're building a project using this. Does anybody know what this is? What? Virtual reality, yep. Oculus, that's the Oculus Rift. We're building a project for Bobcat that's using kind of virtual reality, but more so cameras and a device like that on your face to be able to drive anywhere in the world. So it's pretty cool. So that's all I got for now. I'm going to open up for some questions since I'm still here and I got about 5 minutes left. But if you want to find me on Twitter, that's Jake from Fargo. Does anybody use Twitter in high school anymore? All right, good. All right. I don't have Snapchat. I just uninstalled it like 10 minutes ago because it's just obnoxious. And then that's my email if you want to get a hold of me if you've got questions. So anybody have any questions that are kind of ideas they want to run by me while I'm standing up here for about 5 more minutes? Yeah. Which one? Oh, good. That one's Norwegian. Okay. Myriad Mobile, Myriad Space Mobile, 2 words. That's just our logo. Myriad stands for, it's actually a Greek word that means like the number 10,000 generally, or a very large number. And so we kind of thought it's cool that if you spend 10,000 hours at a craft, focusing on one thing, you kind of become a master of that craft, right? And so our idea here is we want to master mobile technology. And so Myriad, 10,000 hours, and mobile, we spend 10,000 hours at our craft, we'll be masters at mobile technology. So our old tagline used to be masterfully mobile, but then we concluded we're not masters yet, so we don't need to say that. We'll just keep working hard and make sure that we're always getting better. So come on, you guys up front have got questions too. Yeah. I'd say not so much classes, but the opportunities and activities that are kind of above and beyond the things you're doing in school. So getting involved in this is a really good step. There's these things that are going to happen in Sioux Falls and Fargo again this next year called, I think Brookings has one as well, Startup Weekend. Has anybody heard of Startup Weekend before? You can do that in high school or college or whenever. You can be 90 years old and come to Startup Weekend if you want. And the whole idea is you got 54 hours to pitch an idea, take the idea you pitched, build a team that's of people that are at that place at that weekend, and then present it basically 2 days later with hopefully a built version of it if you're building something like a software or some sort of designed idea, and then present it and pitch it in front of judges, and then you win some awards. And usually people go off and try to start companies based on this 24-hour, 48-hour, 52-hour event. So that's something you should be looking at when you see opportunities like that. Get involved, especially if you kind of want to keep kind of testing your idea you might have. If you've got something that you think is good but you're not sure, what I do is I just go to Startup Weekend, yell it out to everybody during my pitch, and then people will tell me if it sucks or not. And if you just got it in the back of your head and you're like, I don't want to tell anybody about my idea because it's really special, don't do that. That never really works out. That's how you become crazy and all by yourself in your basement someday. That's not going to work. What you need to do is you need a team around you. So how do you build a team? Well, you tell people about your idea, and then the people who get excited about your idea, you get them to join your team. That's what I got good at. Just like in college, I was the guy who had no idea how to get the homework done, so I would book the room, order pizza, and invite all my smart friends to come hang out, and we would do the homework together, and I would just copy, and I would get my homework done. That's kind of how I built Myriad. I just got everybody excited to come and do something, and then we built a company together. So make sure you're sharing your ideas, not just hiding them inside your head. One more question. Come on. Up front here somewhere. Only young people get to ask the next question. If you're over 20, you don't get to ask. Go. Come on. I'm not leaving until you say something. Come on. You guys can do better than this. I'm going to start beatbox. Oh, he looks like he's under 20. How old are you? All right. You count. What's up? Green. Green, even though I'm wearing blue. And blue is our company. I still like green. Blue's my second favorite color. You want to know my third favorite color? Better question than that. Come on. One more. Related to entrepreneurship. Go ahead. Do I have any business cards? Yes. Do you want one? All right. When we're done, come find me back there. Deal? I'll be here till just about 2 o'clock. I want to hear some of your pitches. All right. Yeah, we got, look at this. We got 2 questions. Look at this. Go. Yeah. Well, you see our logo. Our logo is kind of like a shield, right? Did you see our logo? We got the crowns and stuff. We kind of have this medieval sort of look and feel. And so when we had this opportunity to rent a space and it was in this big old brick building that looked like a castle, we just said yes. So it made a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, obviously. We're going to win our 6th national championship, if you're wondering. And then we'll probably be done. At that point, we should let somebody else win. But the 6th time, we'll call it good and take all the records and feel good about it. Just let us one more time. Just one more time. That's all I'm asking. All right. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Dawn Solly. As Brady had said, I worked in the newspaper industry. Oh, sorry. Go over there. Okay, where I was going to go before. It's okay. I'm really used to being in the back of the building in the room. Yeah. I worked in journalism for 10 years or so. I started in Gillette, Wyoming, actually, as a newspaper photographer there. And then I ended up, my parents moved, and they ended up moving to Dallas, Texas. So I kind of moved home for a while because I didn't like the really cold wind. And funny, I moved back up here. But so I was in Dallas, Texas for a while, and I started working with the Associated Press, where I shot the Cowboys games. The vice president was speaking at a benefit, and that was an experience. I had a bomb-sniffing dog sniff all my equipment, so that was really interesting. But then I really wanted to do something. I really like community journalism, so I started looking around, and Aberdeen had an opening at the paper here, and so I started working for the Aberdeen American News. And I had a lot of fun doing that. Unfortunately, in about 2009, the economy wasn't great, and journalism, all the newspaper industries really took a hit, and there was a lot of layoffs, and I was one of them. But that's what happens sometimes. But it kind of pushed me to get my feet wet in the entrepreneurship, which is really weird to hear that because I never thought of myself as being an entrepreneur. But I enjoyed photography so much I didn't want to let it go, and so I decided I would just start taking pictures and just see what would happen. So I started with, I think it was like Parks and Rec had me do a couple of things, and it just kind of was like freelancing some things. I know a lot of newspaper photographers that have lost jobs in the industry would go out, and if they lived in bigger cities, they would just start freelancing for like the Dallas Mavericks, and they could just get a photo pass and go and shoot that. Well, in Aberdeen, it's a lot different. We don't have that. But I have done some stuff for Northern, it's very different because you kind of can pick and choose what you want. And like last week, I was shooting family pictures on the weekend, and then I went from family pictures to a client needed me to shoot some nighttime photography, so I was out doing that. It's a lot of fun. The only downfall is that you sometimes take jobs that you don't know what are going to happen, and so you're kind of like, okay, how is this going to work? But it usually works itself out. And then you're your own boss, so you're the one that has to stay up and work all the late hours and work till like 2 in the morning and get all your photos done. But I have really enjoyed it. I highly recommend anybody that's interested in starting your own business to do it. Do what you love, and don't ever stop learning. That was one thing my parents always told me, is just keep learning, because even when you think you know, even when I thought I knew all this stuff about photography, there's a whole nother avenue or a whole nother way to shoot things or to try things. So I totally encourage you all to try it.
As mentioned, my name's Jack Hollingsworth. I own JDH Construction, commercial contractor in Aberdeen since about 2007, so I'm going on to my 10th year right now. My career got started a little differently. I'm not from Aberdeen, not from South Dakota, never even heard of Aberdeen years ago. Graduated from Fort Collins, came up to put a resume up here, got hired onto a company called Kybers Carlson Construction. Actually came here in February, believe it or not, to interview, and it was not a nice time of year, as it is out there today now. So I did make a choice, knowing what the weather was going to be like at that time. My goal was to be here maybe 3-5 years, move on, go someplace else, bigger town, et cetera, but the town has been very good to me, very good to my family, et cetera, and I've been very excited to be here. Starting out in the construction of it, when I went, after high school, I went to a junior college in Sterling, Colorado, got my degree, went to Fort Collins for a year. It's no fun anymore, I'm going to go out and work, so I went and did footings, foundation, concrete type work. 4 years, one gentleman challenged me, said that I kept saying, I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to go do something down the road. He goes, you're never going to do it. We all stay here, we don't move on. Mental challenge. That fall I was in school. Got into construction management. About 3 or 4 years later, I got my degree, and then once again got the interview up here with Hollis Robert, which I know several of you know from him. I got into the job, or into the office mainly, and the mall was going on, and I'd ask Hollis, what do you want me to do? He goes, I'll try to do this, and he finally looked at me and says, we've never had anybody like you in the company before, not sure what to do with you. So I thought, well, I think I'm on my own. So I, as far as trying to learn and figure out what was going on, so I just got persistent. I learned the business. I got to know the men in the field, and at that time, Kybers probably had 20, 30 employees. The very big company in this town at that time, doing the mall, doing I think a couple high schools at the time too, or schools at the time, so we were pretty versatile at that area. So anyway, I continued to learn estimating, scheduling, project management, communication through him and through the employees that we had up next to us, or whatever the case might be. So I stayed in that position for, let's say, about 17 and a half years, learning a lot of items. Unfortunately, Hollis got sick, passed away, and ownership changes happened, and the business was just a spot I felt I could take off and go do something on my own. The economy was pretty decent at the time, but you never know. I thought, well, I'm going to go out on my own. Started in September of 2007 by myself, sitting in a little office, and one other person helping with accounting every once in a while. And by May of the following year, I had several employees from Kybers come over to my business, and from that point on, we started growing. That summer of 2008, we ended up with a $8 million project in Mobridge, South Dakota school out there. It was construction management, which was right up our alley as far as risk. We didn't have to put a lot of money into it. We just had to provide the manpower, a lot of subcontractors, et cetera, to be involved. So that was a really nice project for us to go into. From that point on, we've just continued to grow. We've done jobs where we sent a bill out for $500, $100 sometimes just to be nice, and other times I mean up to $9, $10, $15 million. Our income usually for a year is probably 10 to 15 million, depending on the economy and where we are as far as traveling. We go to Mobridge a lot, Pier a little bit. Just got done with the school up in Culm, North Dakota. So we're kind of versatile in that area. I'd like to go 100, 125 miles radius at the most. Challenges with the business, obviously going from, you know, Cabers, which is a very big company with all the people, the support groups you have there, to going on your own, and now you're having to do everything, the accounting, the estimating, scheduling, coordinating people, going out there and getting the jobs, spend the nights, evenings, whatever it takes. So the experience at Cabers, obviously I started really seeing what I did know or didn't know, and then how the employees at Cabers thought of me as an individual and would come over and you know, continue the business and help it grow. So as far as the actual construction itself, I mean, this project right here, we actually remodeled this student center, 3 or 4 years ago, I believe it was, added on, made a lot of nice space here. The challenge of something like this, you got people running around here, students running around. We're tearing things up downstairs, new food service area, added on to the west side, roof over top of a roof. Once you penetrate a roof, what's going to happen? It's going to rain. Those types of challenges the guy has to think of. Right now, obviously the weather's not real fun to be outside, and none of our men are outside. They're all inside, just so you guys know, so you don't think that bad of me. But those are challenges too, you know, when you're bidding a job or a project and you hope that things go like this. Well, it could rain, it could snow, it could be sub-zero temperatures, and your estimate for labor, your production is going to go down. Even if they're inside the building, they got to go in and out at times, and they're still going to be slow, putting coats on, et cetera. So there's been challenges that way. I've made a lot of mistakes, learned from the mistakes, improved on mistakes, made our company better, more efficient by everybody working together as a team and continuing on that way. So it's been very good for the, you know, I've been here now, I'm going on the 27th year in Aberdeen and going into our 10th year as GDH Construction. So I guess that's what I got.
So I'm Samantha, and I'm going to start a question today from you guys. How many of you have had anxiety at some point today? Please be honest with me. Okay, not in a mean way, but that makes me feel a lot better right now. I am not a public speaker, so this is really, take a deep breath. I'm from Houghton. I'm pretty sure I won't be surprised that none of you know where that is, because it's middle of nowhere, literally. I ended up there after I married a 4th-generation farmer. So if you guys could guess, that's kind of where the Farmer's Wife Boutique began. And I picked that name because I feel like all of us at some point in our lives have been impacted by the agriculture community somewhere. We have 2 beautiful daughters together, Nathan and I, and Hadelin is 3. She's the mini boss of the businesses, and she will make it clear to any employee who works there. Remy is my little St. Patrick's Day baby. She was actually born this year. She's a redhead, has the temper to go with it. She's very feisty. I'm a little concerned when she gets older. I grew up in Watertown, and I went to Lake Area Tech, not really knowing why. I was just kind of going because my parents told me, well, you go to college, that's what you do. So I did, and I let my mom pick what I went to school for because I was like, well, I don't really know. I was actually really excited to be done with high school, didn't want to go back to school. She picked the Certified Occupational Therapy program, and with that, you deal a lot with people. And I grew up, I was actually born missing part of my right arm. So I've worked with therapists a lot of my life, and I had a passion for making a difference in people's lives. I wanted to make a difference because so many people had provided me opportunities and encouraged me to go forth and pursue dreams. Even though I'm not physically perfect, I can still do it. So any of you who are reserved for any reason, thinking you can't do it, go for it. Don't let anything hold you back. I ended up staying home because working with Aegis in our area, I was traveling anywhere from 2 to 3 hours a day between nursing homes because there's not really a lot of employment opportunities for therapists around here unless you're in the school district that don't have travel. I worked 60 to 80-hour weeks right out of college, off the bat, and I was actually employed before I had even graduated my college degree. After about, I think it was 2 years into our marriage, we decided to have our daughter, Hattie. And I ended up staying home just because I knew with healthcare I would miss every single holiday. You worked every single day of the week because as people got admitted, you had to be there to provide therapy or their stays wouldn't be covered. Hattie was born and it was great. I loved being home, but I quickly realized living in the middle of nowhere, it got a little lonely. So my husband always teased me because with our daughter and planning our wedding, I got really, really good at online shopping. Like, really good at it. And the mailman knew my name, and I knew what day they were coming. And he's like, well, too bad nobody could, like, pay you to shop. And I was like, well, actually, I kind of saw on Facebook that this girl started a business, and yeah. So I thought it was going to be a piece of cake. It wasn't. We took $1,500 of our savings, which was a lot because we were newlyweds and he's a farmer. So it was good times for farming then, but we knew it wouldn't stay that way. And I purchased about 6 outfits and I started the Farmer's Wife Boutique. It was a Facebook page. And I was like, you know, there's millions of people in this world. I can sell 6 outfits in like an hour, right? No. It's not that simple. Reality check. So I quickly learned after a couple of weeks, I had great support from family and friends that if I wanted to make this happen, I had to go bigger. So I met with Kelly from the association, and she helped me put all of my chaos into organization so that I could apply for a loan because I had no idea with a science background where to even start with that. And we ran the numbers, we figured it out, and I was able to apply for my first very, very, very small loan, which seemed like a lot at the time to start my Facebook page and make it bigger. So I got my first loan in that August when I had opened in July. I got the more clothing. I decided to take a leap of faith and get a actual website with one of the ones that was pre-built because I'm not smart enough to build my own, nor did I have the funds to do it. It was going good, and then social media, as all of you guys have probably realized, has really changed a lot. They're making you pay for more. You have to be really smart with analytics, and to be sure, I don't even really know what that word is. And it started to hit a wall, and I was like, okay, where can I go next? Because we were little, my daughter was little. I knew I needed to be home with her because I didn't want to put her in daycare, and we don't really have a lot of options for childcare around us either. So I was like, okay, weekends. My mom doesn't work on the weekends. We got a babysitter. So we started hitting vendor shows. My husband was so excited. So I talked him into going with me. And we hit 33 different vendor shows in the span of 3 months. We were doing anywhere from 2 to 3 a week from your little towns of Turton. If anybody knows what Turton is, it's very, very, very small. So we went from Turton all the way up to Fargo, Sioux Falls. We drove through all kinds of weather. I convinced my husband that we should get an enclosed trailer so that I didn't have to load totes. And he jumped on board, thankfully. So then I just had rolling racks that we rolled in and out every single time we set up. And luckily, he stayed for all 33. Because there were some really brutally cold ones with metal racks. Yeah, it's not a lot of fun. And so we did that. And by that December, I was able to afford my first brick and mortar store. And it was in Groton, so rent was really cheap. We're talking like $150 a month. And I was terrified. I was like, oh, good gravy, can I afford this? And we did it. So I was open 2 to 3 days a week. I kind of made my own schedule. I took my daughter with me. We kept doing the vendor shows because I could make money while promoting myself at the same time. And at my time, that was the best thing I could do business-wise. And so we stayed there about a year. And then when January rolled around again and my lease was up, I had another decision to make, because with the small community, the support was there, but it wasn't. I knew I either needed to go bigger and move into Aberdeen and take a plunge that scared the crap out of me, or I needed to let it go. But I'm like mainly German, so I'm really stubborn, and I was like, I'm not letting this go. My husband, I think he was kind of praying I would let it go, but I was like, I'm not letting this go. So at 7 months pregnant, I moved my store to Aberdeen. My husband was not overly thrilled about it, but he did it. He set it all up. He made a lot of the fixtures. With The Farmer's Wife, I wanted everything to be authentic. So when you come into my business, it's all there. Everything, like my tables, my counters, they all came from our junk pit. So you don't necessarily have to have an overabundance of funds if you can utilize resources around you. I've bought a lot of fixtures from businesses that have closed. Just utilize and pay attention to what's around you, and that will help a lot in reducing costs. So March rolled around, and I quickly realized that maternity leave was coming. I should probably hire an employee. So we did. I hired my very first employee, which I was thinking to myself, this is going to be great. I have someone that I can tell what to do. I'm like, not going to have to do anything. No. Nope. It opened a whole nother responsibility and a whole lot more work, because you have to micromanage everything they do. And I'll tell you right now, your employees will never do the job the way you would want it done. So you're going to have to teach them every step of the way how you want it, or it's just not going to happen. So we did. I hired my first employee, and her first day, I ended up calling my mother-in-law because I had my daughter 5 hours before she was supposed to come to work. And I was like, can you please come teach my employee how to be an employee, because I can't be there. So she started, and she was great, and family pitched in. So we did that. And then around May, I had obviously been cooped up at home too long, because I looked at my husband and I was like, I have an idea. And he doesn't like those words very much. I was like, so, there's like nowhere for babies and stuff in Aberdeen. And he's like, yeah, Sam. And I'm like, so what if I opened a second store? And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, really. And he's like, well, then you go talk to Kelly and let her tell you if that's a good idea or not. So I did. And I don't think he was expecting me to come back with good news. But I did. And Kelly and I worked it all out, and I was like, I can do this. I'm going to do it. So in September, I leased a second location and opened my second business, which is a whole nother level of crazy to even try to keep track of two young children. But we're doing it. I have my list of notes so that I wouldn't get lost. I kind of mentioned the struggles of business, the social media restrictions, the money. Advertising is key, and don't always expect that you're going to see results right away from advertising. It takes a lot of effort to get someone to walk through the door and to believe in your product. And with businesses comes staffing. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have wonderful staffing, and then you're going to have staffing that makes you pull your hair out at the end of the day and wonder why you're there. But there's so many positive aspects too that I never really thought would happen. I have such a sense of accomplishment. I really never dreamed that I could pull this off. So I'm really proud of that. I love being my own boss. That's awesome, even if being a boss is not so fun sometimes. One of the cons, though, is with a business, you're going to have to be dedicated. And for me, I thought I lost sleep over having a newborn. Oh, I have lost so much sleep being a business owner. With the social media and the overhead expense, I'm constantly looking for new ways and how am I going to market myself? What can I do next? What does my customer want? So you have to keep looking at new things and how you can improve your business along the road, and what does the one down the street offer that you don't, and what can you offer that they don't have. Because if you can build off of each other, which I'm sure Julie can vouch for, and work together, you're in a better network if you have people around you instead of turning people away. So yeah, be persistent. Times will be tough, just like our speaker earlier. It's not easy in the beginning. You will take losses, but there will be gains too. So if you can keep your head up and keep going, you're off to a running start. So thanks.
If you want to take that with you.